it back, but it's more than basic. It's a portion of his rap, but the core is ancient. It's supported like a pack of some more observations are important, like the fact that we're bored of fake shit. More creative, have the floor, so take it. Travel to the core is a normal placement. Tattoos on my arm and
with an audience, and that's what I'm attempting to do tonight. I just like people to watch me talk to other people. Guys, this is a mic check of an event that we hope becomes a thing. All right, so we started a podcast, Tattoo with Children, and after we started our podcast, other podcasts started kind of popping up, and so we was like, all right,
yes, because no one had ever thought of having a podcast ever.
Look, there were other local podcasts in the city. I'm sure
local ones. Okay.
I had just never heard of them. You know, I just didn't know who they were. And so when I started a podcast, all of a sudden, like, be like, hey, there are other podcasts. I'm like, really? Where are they? And so podcasts started happening. Or just began being seen by me. And which was fine, because what I wanted was more podcasts. That was part of my whole goal for this, is to get more podcasts. Because I want people to talk to. And so we got this idea that if there were other podcasts, then we could get them all in the same room. And then we could all have like a big podcast, like a full 2-hour, 3-hour podcast. I mean, how many podcasts we had. And so this is our effort towards figuring out the logistics, the technicalities of that, and Pain Points, which is a local problem-solving company.
That's what we do.
Has been generous enough to go ahead and sponsor this party. And this is the result. So tonight you're going to hear a long podcast. You're going to hear us all talk. There will be questions. There will be answers. Maybe there will be games. I don't know. You know, we're going to fly by the seat of our pants. This is the mic check, and I'm the host, so you know I didn't plan. This is just a little bit of fun. A little bit of fun on a Saturday night. And I could use a bit of fun in my life. And so we're going to talk to the the sponsors for tonight at various segments, and we're going to do some Tattoo with Children stuff, probably 2 episodes, I would think, probably an hour apiece. And hopefully you guys just love it. Hopefully you just want to hear more of it. Hopefully that you want to actually be a part of the audience on the next one, because if this goes well, if we figure out how this works, then we're going to open it up to the public for you guys to be the audience. Okay, so right now you're just listening to it on live stream, but if you come down here, then you're a part of the audience. And we didn't advertise it ahead of time. We didn't invite you ahead of time to come down this Saturday because we weren't sure what was going to happen tonight. But next time we're going to be sure. Next time you will be invited. You will get early enough warning when it's going to happen that you can make plans. Come down here and party with us. And when I say party, I mean we have barbecue here.
Yeah, it's great.
We have potato salad. We have drinks. I believe there's alcohol or booze, as the case may be. I heard booze.
Well, I'm sure we can find some.
There's got to be some booze around here somewhere. We're all degenerates. And so, just it'll be a great event going forward where we're going to do this periodically, like every 2 months or something like that. And we're going to get more podcasts in here. Right now, the only podcast we have in the house tonight is going to be Pain Points and Tattoo with Children. Because our sister podcast, Going Dutch, couldn't make it tonight due to a family emergency. But they have assured me that they really want to be here and that the next time we do it, they definitely will be here. So we'll have probably at least 3 podcasts next time. Hopefully more than that, because I believe there's even more podcasters budding on the vine even as we speak. They're just getting ready to launch themselves. And I don't care if you have 1 episode or 10 episodes or if you haven't even posted anything. If you consider yourself a podcaster, meaning you record your voice on a mic, you're okay by me. You're welcome to this party as a podcast creator. And anybody would be welcome as an audience member. So this is going to be dope. I think have a good feeling about it. I'm feeling good about it. We're going to start later than we are now. I decided to get hot early because across me in seat B is not Ben. The Dread Pirate Benjamin is not in this seat. In this seat is instead the vice president of Pain Points and also the co-host of the Points of Interest Pain Points podcast, Sarah Harbuck. Now, if you've never known Sarah Harbuck, I've known Sarah Harbuck for a long time. She is an old friend of mine, an old classmate of mine. And if you look at her, she is the archetypical blonde bombshell. Okay? Like, I'm talking hot as fuck.
Oh, wow. That's a great endorsement, right? I think.
It's just a thing. And so when I noticed, she came up here and she's dolled up, and I'm like, all right, she's taking this seriously. We should talk to Sarah without even mentioning Ben, because this is what the people want.
Ben who?
Exactly. So Sarah,
Yes.
you're looking lovely tonight.
Well, thank you. Every now and then I try not to dress like a hobo when I leave my house.
Why don't you go ahead and tell the good people out here who may not know what Pain Points is, what they do, and what the Points of Interest podcast is all about.
So Mike started Pain Points a while back, and it's kind of evolved over the years. And right now, its main focus is helping businesses kind of sort out problems. I mean, we're not business experts by any stretch of the imagination, but we do have some experience, and we want to start a discussion with other people who have started small businesses and, flesh out some ideas and troubles that everybody has and common problems that everyone kind of faces, and kind of also help anybody with like social media marketing, which seems to be a struggle for a lot of businesses, but it's really essential in today's world.
Right.
And the other part of Pain Points is software development and the contracts that Mike has on the technical side of things. So, Cliff's Notes version, that's basically what we got going on.
And let me just say, this is a service that is dreadfully needed. I know in this town, but probably in many towns.
Yeah.
You start a small business, you get your money together, you get your idea together, you got your feelings in the right place, you got your headspace, and then you have 10 problems that nobody told you was going to happen.
Yeah.
20 problems nobody told you were going to happen. You have no idea. So you start asking for advice, and everybody's like, well, here's what we did. So it doesn't work for me. You're selling guns, I'm selling mocha. This doesn't work. And, you end up drowning in all of these minutia details, and so you start losing track of the thing that you love about small business in the first place.
Yeah.
Mike and Sarah, their entire focus on this company, on the small business side, is to talk you through those moments, get you the action plans, the action steps, so that you can get back to the thing that you actually like doing, which is the reason why I started a small business.
And so many times most small businesses try to do, like the owners try to do everything themselves.
Right.
And one of our biggest things is, like, delegate out some stuff. You're going to have to spend some money, hire some people to help you, because it's too much. It's too encompassing sometimes to try to do every avenue of all the things that you have to do as a business owner to be successful. So, sometimes you just need somebody to tell you that.
Yeah, you just need a sober voice.
Yeah,
like a sober friend while you're in your drunk business mind. So yeah, this is a service that Pain Points offers, and you guys have a lot of content that you offer for free. We see a lot of like videos, a lot of little tidbits on Instagram. There'll be just a question with a caption answer. Which you add them all up together. It gets to be a pretty good bit of knowledge that is there free of charge. And you also do the podcast. What's on the Points of Interest podcast? What do you guys talk about there?
So it's kind of evolved over the last couple months. We thought that the format of finding questions on Reddit from the small business subreddit and kind of addressing the issues that are brought up in those questions and kind of applying them to our own experience. And then as listeners, out there, like, hey, if you've got a business and you've had this particular issue,
right, this
is how we would suggest dealing with it. And also, why don't you share your experience with us and tell us so that we have a wider scope of knowledge. So it's mostly a 10-minute segment 5 days a week. Where we answer a question that we found online or one that we posed ourselves or someone has asked us, and try to give our experience, which is really all we can do. We're not like PhDs in business, but sometimes experience is the greatest teacher. So
I know one of the other services that Mike's offers is resume building, right?
Yes.
If you have trouble, if you're hunting up a job, you're trying to change careers, or you're just out of college and not sure where to go next, Mike can help you with that too.
Yeah, especially in the, it doesn't encompass like kind of everything that someone does. I think a lot of people go into school and they want their only goal in mind is to come out with something to help them make a living. And they choose something they might be interested in and they go through it and they get to the end, they're like, okay, I have the knowledge. I should be getting my job, my career now. I should be starting that. But then you get out there and realize you still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And that can be very hard. So resume building and literally going out to campuses, college campuses, and telling them what it's like in a real world, not just from a software development perspective, but working in corporate America. Because a lot of people going to college, that's where they're going to go. They're going to go work in corporate America.
Yeah.
I know when I graduated college the first time, I was very much had no idea how to get a job with my degree. Like that, it didn't. I knew it was something I needed to know, but
And
the
ironically,
steps
they
involved,
don't teach you that in college.
They don't teach you that at all in college. It's very, very weird. It's all right. You just graduated. Where you could, like literally you sign your name at the bottom of a sheet. It's all right. You'll walk here on this day. It's all right. What happens after that? Then you go home. Say, well, can I come back to the apartment? And no, no, you're done. You're out.
See you later.
Do I get to keep my email? Nah, I don't think you need that.
Well, the good thing now is if you do online school, they usually like keep your email around and you can use it
Online
for all that
schools?
free stuff. Yeah. Don't knock
Online
online
schools?
school. I went to online
Hey, I
school.
did online for a while too, dude. Don't.
Oh,
no.
the academic flavor
No.
Ray is messing with us.
Here's like I taught online school. It ain't great.
Guys-
We're gonna listen. But this is a good point right now to go ahead and mark as a demarcation between. That was our word from our sponsor, the Pain Points and the Points of Future podcast, and we're now getting hot as fuck with Tattoo with Children. Mike, do I need to keep my music or is it already going?
Oh no! There is no more music. We're doing this live.
We're doing it all live. Like
Yeah.
I would like it if there was a music, like when I listen back to it, if there was like a little musical intro to like get me like pushed into a different mindset. Like just give him a little something. You can play it through the headphones. Give him a little something.
Give me a little
He needs
something.
a red carpet and some
Yes,
glitter
exactly.
guns or something.
Okay. All right. Hang on. This is gonna take me a second.
It's go-
He needs some gold chains and a
See,
big
this
old
is
goblet.
the reason why we do the
that's
mic
got
check.
Flavor Ray and rhinestones.
This is
on
we
it.
do it like that's a pimp
I'm
cup.
gonna have to get you a pimp cup, aren't I?
A straight up Flavor Ray pimp cup. See, this is the reason why I got Sarah on here. She know what I need already.
Well, we've been friends for a long time, man.
What up, Bo? Yeah, give me that pimp cup.
All right. Hang on. Let's see if this goes.
We got a food thief. at the
All right,
door.
let's see if it happens.
Oh, it's happening right now. You just can't hear it because I don't have it in the headphones.
Okay, dope.
Yeah.
Let me know what it fades in.
We were born to bring it back, but it's more than basic. It's a portion of its rap at the core is ancient. It's supported like a pack of some more observations are important, like the fact that we're bored of fake shit. More creative, have the floor, so take it. Travel to the core is a normal placement. Tattoos.
Good Lord, yo, that was my theme music. What up, this Tattoo with Children? I am so excited to be a part of this party. I am your host of Tattoo with Children, Flavor Rain. Seat A across me and seat B is the lovely Sarah Harbuck. And across from us both is the man of the hour, without whom this would not be possible. At least we wouldn't have as much brisket.
Yeah, right.
CIO No Pain. Guys, we brought like 2 briskets. One of them's 15 pounds, one of them's 18 pounds. And like we up here, we split them and started slicing, and we're like, all right, we got like 6 people in here to eat.
Well,
who wants to take home an 18-pound brisket? we got like 40 pounds of brisket and 2 racks of ribs.
That is not a question that isn't getting an answer. Just by the
Oh,
way,
no, yeah.
right? So,
Well, y'all were talking about that earlier with the meat sweats, and
Yeah,
you're going to
the-
eat yourself into a meat coma in a minute.
the audience has to know.
I'm ready for that.
Right? I knew exactly when I was going to do this. I knew exactly where to go. At Triple the H
Triple the H
on
IG.
Instagram, Hunter Hale. Thank you so much for staying up all night
It was
last
delicious.
night
It was so
and
good.
cooking these briskets. It is not a question of who wants to take home, some of this brisket. every single person in this room
We're
ate,
all getting a lot
and
of
they want to
brisket.
take it home too. That's how
Because
good it
here's the
is.
thing, Hunter. I saw Hunter earlier when I dropped up the briskets, and the man is like if you ever seen Hunter, he weighs probably about $170. If you put 70 pounds of weights in his pockets, I mean he is literally one of the slightest people I've ever seen, but he just pulls all his energy into this food, and he was just exhausted. I mean, about to fall over on his face when he dropped those briskets off. So he put in a lot of effort into this, and the effort is in the taste. You
Well,
can
it
taste
paid
how
off.
much.
I mean, oh my God, it was
Man,
so
he
good.
he put his foot in that bitch, and it is good. It is good as hell. So, Hunter, you are one of my favorite people in the world. I want you to know that. And as soon as he is making an effort, he's taking the steps necessary to do it the right way and start his small business so that it has a chance for success. His small business will be a barbecue restaurant in Lufkin, Texas, from my understanding currently. If that plan continues on, Lufkin, Texas will be much the better for it. I certainly hope this is what happens. I will do everything in my power, certainly, to encourage that result, because this meat is something I don't want to eat all the time, and I want to pay for it. So right now, Mike's paying for it, and I like that too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I like it when Mike pays for things.
Yeah, I'm not all about going Dutch. I don't mind.
We're gonna dig on that.
I don't mind to be the paid for party. You know, that's cool with me.
So typical.
It's not. It's like this is okay. So we got a lot to get into. To tell you the truth, like I don't get Sarah very often. Because we're all busy. You know, we got kids and jobs and all this. We don't get together very often. But Sarah has some of the best viewpoints and strongest opinions of any person I've ever met. And
I think
it is
you're the
so
only person
fun.
who thinks that, actually.
I don't understand why I was the only person. Like, you are just fantastic to talk to. And like, for example, I'm just gonna kick off one right now. The reason I got these mics hot so early was because somebody mentioned we mentioned Iran,
Right.
which led to Canada, which led to the royal family. And this is where Sarah lit up when we got to the royal family, because the royal families have got a little bit of a turmoil problem right now, right? Some internal strife. If you're not aware, they're
Prince Harry.
mixed princess
Oh, you were going
that-
a whole other direction with
that
that.
married her Prince Charming
Mixed princess.
has resulted in mixed results, if you can believe that.
Oh, boy.
It didn't all work out all like the storybooks do. I mean, yeah, they got the marriage and the big house and the money and the pregnancy and got some kids, but they're not all happy, apparently, and they're leaving England
When they're leaving the royal family, apparently.
and they're leaving the royal family.
They
They
dropped
left.
their title.
They've
They're
dropped
no
their
longer
title.
referred to as His or Her Royal Highness.
That's amazing that a person would do that. Like it's
Yeah,
like that
seriously.
that just tells you how difficult it is for a outsider to understand what the royal family is like. Because you look at the royal family from the outside, you're like, of course you want to be a prince or a princess or a duke or a duchess and so on and so forth. Actually, I think they're still duke and duchess, right? Because they keep their holdings.
Well, that was a title granted to them by the queen, and only she can take that away.
Yeah, they're keeping their holdings. They keep their real estate, but they don't get the like. There's like a 5% stipend, I guess.
For their public
being-
engagements and what have you. Yeah.
Like they're canceling that. So if you're feeling sorry for them because they're not prince and princess, fuck that.
Just don't.
They're rich as
I
fuck
don't-
and are going to stay that
I
way.
can't feel sorry for them at all. First of all, Harry was born into this family. He knew
Right.
what the requirements were.
Correct.
He's lived in this in his entire life. Now, granted, he's
And
had
he's
some...
and he still went and sexed up a black chick. You know, I mean, I don't know what he was thinking.
Oh, she's half black.
Like- One, this is the break
Or-
we're talking
or
about.
not even- maybe-
One drop.
She
It
may
was
not even be
okay.
half
Stains the
black.
whole barrel.
It was okay once Barack Obama was elected president.
Half black man,
I don't
right,
know if it
right.
was. I don't know if it was. Like,
now-
they didn't love this situation from the very beginning. I'm not saying that they're racist.
Oh, you mean
but
like them getting married?
Yeah.
People didn't like it.
they didn't like it from the very beginning?
I think it was because it reminded them of King Edward, is it the 7th or the 8th, that abdicated the throne, and that's why King George took over, and Queen Elizabeth even became Queen of England.
Yeah, that was her uncle, right?
So it goes back to that
Uncle Edward.
when her uncle abdicated the throne because he wanted to marry an American divorcee socialite.
Yeah,
okay?
that-
so there was some,
that is what
there was
happened.
some similarities there. I feel like that probably
They probably saw some red flags.
felt that kind of felt very similar.
They probably
you
saw some
know.
red flags. But
You
he's,
know how that conversation went, right? Like Elizabeth's hackles went up, right? When she
Yeah.
heard the news, right? Because we've all watched The Crown, so we know what that looks like. Where she's no longer relaxed. She's now just
You
rigid.
mean about Harry and Meghan getting married?
Right.
Have
and
we
then,
all watched
And
The
then
Crown?
Philip comes in.
have.
Yeah.
my wife,
If
my,
you
my,
haven't,
my wife,
you
no,
should.
I,
It's
I've,
actually really good.
I've watched my wife.
It's
but
an
if,
amazing
If
show.
my wife didn't watch it, I wouldn't watch it.
Like
I wouldn't have
I
seen
would,
it.
I
Look,
would,
it's a great show. Don't get me wrong. It's a
Yeah.
great show, but it's
Just
not
not your
one
bag.
that. Yeah, I wouldn't have gone
like,
looking
he
for it.
wouldn't have chose to watch it, right?
Yes.
But I'm glad that I did watch it. I'm in the same boat as you.
Yeah,
right?
okay. Yeah,
But
I was making sure they
she
were on
gets-
the same page.
She gets all like hackled up and like staunting, Queen Elizabeth, right?
Well, okay, first of all, we should probably point out that this is a fictional telling of historical events.
Yeah, in other words, they didn't take interviews with Queen Elizabeth to make
Right.
this show.
So
but
we don't know
they're
if that's
like,
how she responded.
from what
per se.
we've seen and of the Queen and from the documents and some interviews, people not quite close enough to get in trouble for this, making this show. They've sort of dramatized how this likely went on,
Yeah,
in line with her personality, in
Yeah.
line with the players involved.
I'm basing this next piece of that whole situation purely on what we know publicly about Prince Philip.
Okay.
Right?
Okay,
Because
yeah.
she gets her hackles up, and Prince Philip probably leans over and goes, well, at least she's not a divorcee.
Yeah, I mean, literally.
Except that she was.
He's one of the most cynical fuckers ever, if you believe The Crown. He's like,
Dude.
Philip he's like my favorite person.
He has no
Or
filter,
perhaps-
though. And apparently,
None.